Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am covering something that I do get asked about quite a lot. So I thought it would be a great idea to do a full podcast episode sharing some of my tips and practices to help keep my stress levels as managed as possible and my nervous system balance as a business owner slash practitioner. Because I feel like as a practitioner as well, at least for myself, being an empath, I can give a lot of my energy. So I have to be even more mindful. And especially because I love what I do, it can be easy to give too much sometimes. So I have learned some things over the years that I wanted to share with you today. And I feel like it's come at a good time because this time of year for a lot of people is a very busy one. So hopefully you can pick up some tips and tricks and apply it to your own life, whether you're a business owner, practitioner, or not. And I always swore, because of what I went through with my health, that I would never let my business negatively affect my health and relationships because I value them so much now. And I've been in a place where I've not had either, and I don't want to get back there. I made a lot of mistakes early on the first few years of business, which is to be expected, but it'll now be 8 years in 2025 since I'd had my business. And I started off part-time and have been full time since 2019. So I feel like I know what I'm talking about here, and it might change in the future, but this is what's working for me at the moment. And I feel like I have a really good work-life balance currently. This is going to be something that's covered more in my practitioner mentoring program, which I've not been mentioning as much as I wanted to online because the launch dates might need to change. And that's because I'm starting a new certification and training myself. And I think it's just going to end up clashing with the dates for the group program. But just know it will be going ahead at some point. It could just be delayed. There is a link in the show notes to the webpage if you want to learn more about it and you're a health practitioner and you want to be part of the experience when it's ready to go. But yeah, for now, just keep your eyes open and I'll be sharing updates on email and also on my social media. So the main aspects of my job, just so you know what it entails and what I have to manage, the main thing for me are my client consultations. And currently I offer 6 month packages as the standard, but I do also have people, not just new clients, I have clients who are still checking in every now and again from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or longer. And that means that I take on probably 1 to 3 new clients every single month, but then I have to factor in the fact that some people might still come from years ago and I have to make space for those as well. And I'm the practitioner on more of a long-term basis. So I see them for the sessions on Zoom, but there's a lot that goes into it. I don't think people realize as a practitioner how much goes into working with clients. They think they're just paying you for the session and like, God, that's expensive. What's your hourly rate? And it doesn't really exist because everyone's so very different. And it might take me 2 hours to prep for the initial consultation. If they've had a lot of lab results that I need to go through, that's going to take extra time. So there's the organizing, which I'm still doing at the moment, the sessions and onboarding them and then seeing them for the consultations, which are usually 60 to 90 minutes long. And then afterwards, I'm writing up notes and writing up the client protocols as well, which take at least half an hour each. And then between the sessions, if they have any email inquiries, I'm answering those too. I do a lot of ordering and interpreting lab tests and writing up general emails and answering inquiries. I do have someone to help me with that, and then someone to help me with the content creation side of things, but I still give a lot of the ideas and it's a collaborative experience. So with content creation, we're thinking social media posts, podcasts, and my email newsletters are currently monthly, but I'm potentially going to start doing them weekly in the new year just to support the podcast and just update you with new episodes and any other updates. And I want to thank Eva and Kira for helping me with those because that takes some of the work off my plate, which is nice. And I did have Eva try to support me with the client protocols at one point, but we just decided that it was better if I did that because it was just taking too long for me to tell her what to do, and then I was like, might as well just do it myself. So that's one thing that I've tried to outsource and offload onto someone else, but it's just not possible. So I'm staying with that at the moment. And then I also go through finances, and I try to do this on a weekly basis, but I do have an accountant and software to help me do so. The one that I use is called Zero. I don't have any affiliation or anything. It was just one that was recommended to me from my accountants. And this helps to manage things each month. So I just need to go through the transactions, make sure everything is reconciled and moving money into different accounts, etc. So the boring stuff. But those are the main things that I do. So clients, marketing in terms of social media and content creation. So I wear a lot of hats, have a few things to juggle at the moment. And I think for the first few years, I was just winging it because I didn't really feel stressed at all, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Within my business, I was more stressed with my health stuff, and that distracted me and took up a lot of my time. I just loved it so much. I was just so excited to learn about all of this stuff and desperately wanted to make it my full-time job so I could leave my supermarket job. But over the past few years, as my business has grown and I now have more responsibilities, more money coming in and out, assistance to pay, plus owning my own home now and having a mortgage to pay, I've definitely felt the pressure at times, which is understandable. And I often think about the future, having kids, how that's going to look. I was driving myself crazy for a while because that was all I could think about. But I've let go of that a little bit and I'm living more in the present and just trusting it's all going to work out perfectly. So I highly recommend doing that if you're spiraling and future pacing all the time. Just try to let it go and just be more in the moment. And I will be sharing more about these mindset shifts and what I do to help my mindset every day, my subconscious, my energy levels, my stress. So here are the top things that keep my nervous system and stress as balanced as possible within my business. Not everything is going to apply to you, like I said, but especially if you're not a practitioner, but you can take inspiration from what I share and see what resonates and what fits into your life. So the first one is my morning and my evening routine. The first 5 to 10 minutes of your day and end of your day is so important. And carving out time during this window is honestly life-changing. It has set the tone for the rest of the day when I start with things like visualization, meditation, affirmations, my red light therapy, mask. Even if I just have to do a quick one while I'm getting ready, I'll just play some affirmations on YouTube and that'll be enough. So I at least start with something every single day. But if I could do a nice 20-30 minute meditation and I do a habit stack, so I'm at the same time doing the red light on my head, on my face, doing some deep breathing, doing my gratitude. And then I make sure to not go on my phone for the first hour of the day. I just set up my YouTube or whatever I'm listening to, but I don't like scroll on there. And that is also really key for just keeping dopamine levels as low as possible in the morning, because if you're spiking them first thing, you're just going to be dopamine chasing all day long, and that's not going to be productive for me. So no social media, no emails, no work for the first hour of the day. Sometimes I'll see clients in the morning, but it might be a 9 or 10 a.m. start. I typically wake at about 7:30. And then after my breakfast, I will have my dog walk and just get outside for some sunlight first thing in the morning. And then on days that I'm working out, it's typically after breakfast, before lunch in that window. And yeah, getting some movement for my body. So a very chill routine. I used to wake up with anxiety, and that's because my cortisol was spiking too high. It should increase in the morning when you get that sunlight in your eye, but when you're highly stressed and dysregulated, your cortisol is just going to be through the roof, and that's when you wake up. And then if you're rushing around and you've left 5 minutes to get ready, then that's just going to make everything worse. EFT tapping is another staple in my routine. I've done a podcast episode on this before, which I can link in the show notes. And I did a sample tapping script on feeling frustrated about your health. So if that applies, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Then you can check that one out. But in the episode, I also do go into the science, why I love it so much, how it's helped me, and how to do it. And then you can just flip the script and use it for whatever you're dealing with. But I'll just tap. Sometimes I say it out loud. Sometimes I just go through things in my head, or even just tapping the points is helpful. But when you talk through your fears, your limiting beliefs, or whatever you want to work on at the same time, it's even more powerful. And then in the evening, I try to, well, I don't see clients or work past 7 p.m. And I try to have weekends fully off other than posting on social media because I like doing that and I don't feel like it is work, but sometimes there's a bit of work that I need to catch up on from Friday, so I'll just do a little bit on Saturday, finishing up client protocols that I didn't get time to do. But overall, I am pretty good about boundaries with that. And early on, it was something that I would not do. So I would work in the evenings and I'd accommodate for people in different time zones, and I'd work on the weekends and I'd just tell clients to pick a time that's best for them. And then I didn't really care if it suited me or not, because I was just so excited to work with them. And I am good with boundaries in that sense, but it's my mind that I can struggle to shut off. So even when I'm not working and I'm not doing emails or anything, and we're trying to watch TV, it's just my mind that's thinking about a client call the next day or an idea for a new program. So that is still a work in progress, but it's getting there. Number two is that I've really shifted my mindset and really prioritized my personal development. For me, deepening my connection to my spirituality has made a big difference. And now, whenever I face a quote stressful circumstance, which is bound to happen as a business owner, knowing that overcoming them is going to help me grow and that I'm always supported by a higher power helps me a lot. Being a business owner really is the greatest personal development journey you will ever embark on, because you'll probably need to work on things like fear of being seen, money mindset, rejection, boundaries. And over the past few months, I've been really into Joe Dispenza, and I have read a few of his books in the past, and I've known of his work for a long time. But for some reason, I just got really into him and listened to like all of his lectures and everything, audiobooks, meditations. And he really promotes the power of meditation and working on your frequency. And I've learned that there's a difference between being busy and being productive. The energy that you put into a project and your work matters. Even the shifts that I've made from being more in my masculine energy to my feminine energy has been amazing, and my business has actually been more successful as a result of doing so. So if I was to work myself to the bone, trying to see 20 clients every single week, taking anyone and everyone on as a client, not taking care of myself, dragging myself through the workday with no energy, then I'm actually not going to be able to serve anyone. My clients aren't going to get the results either, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Whereas when I actually prioritize myself more, I feel I'm more mindful of how many clients I can take on and manage at one time. I can give more, the clients are going to feel better, get better results, and everyone is going to win from doing that. And this is the first time I'm actually mentioning it here on the podcast, but there's actually going to be a little rebrand of Hormones in Harmony coming in January to reflect the new mindset and styles of learning that I've added over the past year or so. So stay tuned for that one. I just want to take a quick pause to ask you a really important question. Where do you want your health to be in 6 months' time? More energized, feeling comfortable in your skin and body again, excited for life because you're finally starting to see improvements with your health, or frustrated and depressed because you're still struggling with symptoms, which are taking over your life and stopping you from living life to the full. If you want the first option, you're going to have to do something different. After all, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over again and expecting a different result. If you're DIYing your health, meaning trying to heal yourself through researching, trial and error, wasting a lot of money and time in the process, then you could be sabotaging your results. Would you try and fix your car if it broke and you didn't know what was wrong with it? No. So why are you trying to do it all alone when it comes to the most important thing that we have in our life, our health? Trust me, actually asking for help and investing in yourself saves you time, money, and a lot of stress in the long run. I know you're probably not getting any answers or support from your doctor. I've been there too. That's why I created my 6-month signature hormone reset package. This one-to-one coaching package offers the highest level of support and transformation, as we'd be closely working together to identify and address the underlying root causes of your health issues. Even if you're already eating healthy and taking supplements, there's so much more to healing, so don't feel like you've tried it all. Let me help you figure out what's causing your stubborn symptoms and support your body in healing naturally, which, in case no one has ever told you, is completely possible. Check out my website, which is linked in the episode show notes for more information, and the links to apply or book an enrollment call are there if you want to chat further. If you've been looking for a sign, this is it. And wait, this is also the perfect time to sign up because my current Black Friday offer means that you'll receive a complimentary GI map stool test and detailed interpretation when you sign up to Hormone Reset before the 20th of December 2024. This is my favorite comprehensive stool test that gave me and so many of my clients answers. Gut health is integral for overall health, so even if you aren't struggling with any digestive symptoms, this will still be super helpful. I've actually found that some of the worst stool tests that I've seen actually come from people with the least digestive issues, and instead they struggle with anxiety, depression, acne, period problems, weight gain, fatigue, and so on. If you want to get started as soon as possible, I currently have space for one new client to begin the 6-month journey before Christmas. Otherwise, you can get started with the sessions in January 2025. This means there are actually 2 tests included in this package at the moment, this stool test plus the hair tissue mineral analysis. So combined, this is close to a value of £1,000 in functional lab testing included, along with the general one-to-one sessions, email support, client community, and Hormone Reset library, which now has around 30 hours of content in there for you to binge. Don't miss this offer, and if you want to chat further, I have temporarily made enrollment calls free of charge. So let's hop on a 30-minute call to discuss your current symptoms, your health goals, and how I could help you to achieve them. Don't forget, you only have until the 20th of December to claim this offer, and I do have limited kits available to send out. You can find all the links you need in the show notes or description. Number 3 is taking care of myself in general, which is to be expected as a practitioner, but you would be surprised. There's a lot of practitioners out there who maybe show one thing on Instagram, but the way that they're actually taking care of themselves is completely different. So I can say that I practice what I preach. I'm definitely not perfect, and I don't even claim to be online. I have a problem when people do, though, and they claim to be like in perfect health and everything, and then I'm working with them in the background on their hormones and their gut health. So you probably know my passion about blood sugar, high food quality, stress management, etc. So I do all of those things, and just being a bit more organized. Organization is going to have its own little category here, but just limiting my caffeine, not having too many coffees or matchas a day, maximum 2 at the moment. I order and take my supplements consistently. So every single month, on the first of the month, when I pay myself, I will do my big supplement order, and that should last me for the rest of the month. I try to work out, try to move my body every day, but at the moment, I'm probably doing 3 Pilates sessions, probably 3 strength training sessions as well, and that might change based on where I'm at in my menstrual cycle. I do a lot of walking, at least 10,000 steps every single day. Another benefit of having a dog now is that I need to get out and walk him 1 to 2 times a day, and this helps because of the fresh air, sunlight, and also just to get me out of the house. I'm quite a homebody and just love spending all of my time at home, and I would if I could, but I do think it's really healthy for me to get out, even if it's just to the gym or for a walk throughout the day. Moving my body in general has been key, and stagnancy really is what breeds disease and is a stressor on the body. Overexercise is a stress, underexercise is a stress, but I thought a few years ago that I was really active because I go to the gym every day, like for an hour, and do some walking, but I was really spending the rest of the day sat down at my desk. And getting a standing desk and desk treadmill has been a game changer. Anytime I feel a bit stressed, overwhelmed, unproductive, uninspired, I just hop on that thing, and after a few minutes, and I could be on there for an hour at a time, and it really doesn't feel like I'm doing any exercise. I feel like a new woman. So if you can fit that into your routine, if you want to get yourself a standing desk treadmill, I really do think it's worth the investment. and I will not ever be without now, because when I'm sat down for hours, even just recording these, I'm doing a big podcast recording afternoon. I have already been to Pilates, going to go for another walk, but otherwise I would feel awful if I was just sat down the whole afternoon. What we on? Number 4 is that I have throughout the day mindful moments and mini light breaks. I talk about this with my clients all the time, and this is just checking in if it's once an hour or as frequently as you can, checking in with your breath, your posture, your mindset. And I like to tell people to have little triggers throughout the day that remind them to do this. It could be a bathroom break, it could be between meetings, it could be while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or when you're out in the car, red traffic lights, to just use it as a moment to close your eyes or go inward, slow down, release your shoulders from your ears, take a big deep breath, give yourself a little affirmation and a little hype up. And meal times should be another key one. So at least 3 meals a day you're having, hopefully. And it's not always possible if you've got young kids or there's just some mornings where you are a little bit rushed, then those are the exceptions. But the majority of the time, mealtime should be a relaxed state. And you could use that as a mini stress management break throughout the day where you do some breathing, you're not on your phone, you're not distracted, you're being really present with your food, you're slowing down. Even just slowing down in general is really important. That can calm the nervous system because when you're just rushing around from one thing to the next, it's like you're being chased by something and your nervous system thinks that there's something wrong. So just actively choosing to slow down the way that you're eating as you're walking around, it can really help. I even listen to frequency music. I choose the 528 hertz specifically. There's loads on YouTube or Spotify. Specifically, that one's for its healing benefits, or I use subliminal tracks that are for relaxation, productivity, whatever I want to focus on. I love going down to see Norman just between clients and having a little cuddle with him. That can be really helpful. So if you've been thinking about getting a dog, I am in favor of that. And the light breaks are getting natural sunlight multiple times throughout the day. So morning sunlight is a big one, but also don't forget the rest of the day. And this time of year, if you're in a country like the UK, the sun is going to be setting around 4 or 5 p.m. So you have to be a little bit more careful to get it in around lunchtime. So maybe one within the first half an hour of waking, one at lunchtime, and one just before sunset. And I'm talking about just standing in the garden or standing outside for a few minutes, and that tells the brain, the light frequency at that time tells the brain what time it is and what hormones to turn on, turn off, and it just helps to keep the circadian rhythm nice and balanced. And that is what controls your energy, your hormone production. It can even have an influence on blood sugar. It's easier in the summer. We just naturally want to be outside more, but it's even more important in some ways in the winter, just to avoid things like seasonal affective disorder and just help the metabolic rate of the body too. Number 5 is that I cycle sync. So I touched on how my workouts shift based on where I'm at in my cycle, but I also use it with things like work, and slightly what I eat, but not massively. I tend to just eat more seasonally. So in winter, eating more warm cooked foods, hot drinks instead of cold beverages and juices. But with work, I do try to, when possible, schedule my interviews, my presentations, my workshops, podcast recordings in my follicular/ovulation phase, which has worked out perfectly for this recording, as opposed to near my period. And this is when I can help it, because if someone invites me on their podcast, but they can only do a certain day, I'm not going to decline that because I'm on my period. It's just when it's possible. And that is just to work with my body and my hormones rather than against it. I switch up the workout. So on my period, the few days before, I might just skip the gym or just go for my walk that day. And then after my period ends, into ovulation, early luteal phase, when I have more energy and my body is less sensitive to stress, I will do more strength training. And then that's not a hard and fast rule either, because if I've not slept well or if I'm really sore from the gym, I'm not just going to push it because I'm in that time of my cycle. I'm just really flowy with it and just use it as inspiration, not a rule. Next one is organization. I think this is absolutely key. I live and die by my Google Calendar, and I honestly don't know what I did before it. I think I used to have a physical diary, and then I just never ended up looking at it. That works for some people, and they're a pen and paper kind of person. But for me, Google Calendar, just because it syncs so well with my softwares, having an online business, when a client books in, it'll automatically update my Google Calendar. So that's just really easy. And I now have set days for set things. With clients, I used to see them any time of the week, and now my client days are Wednesdays and Fridays. I do some enrollment calls on Mondays or the odd podcast recording on Mondays, but then I try to write up the client protocols too. So I have like set client days where I'm sending them the plans and seeing them for their session. And then the other days, sometimes Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, it's more content creation, podcast planning, catching up on emails. And this is another one that I don't stick to 100% all the time because I like to have a bit of flexibility and freedom on these days. This is me tapping into my feminine energy. If you heard the podcast episode that I did a few weeks ago, sharing my journey. But I don't feel like I don't want to power through and just produce content or record a podcast episode if I really don't feel up to it. Sometimes it is just procrastination or being lazy. And then there's other times where it's actually not going to be a good outcome if you just push through because that energy makes a difference. And it will probably not even perform well if you force yourself to do it. People can pick up on that. I try to just listen to my intuition, and when the hit of inspiration strikes, I will try to do something in that moment. And I write everything down on the notes app of my phone just to get everything off my head onto paper. My Google Calendar is color coded, so with clients, when I've prepared their session, I'll change it to a different color so I know which ones I still have to organize and get ready for. I have different colors for like workouts or classes or fun things, just so that everything's not just not standard blue color. And it just makes it a little bit more exciting and blocks up the day a little bit more. I saw a practitioner online. She even put snack time in as an event, and I love that because I'll never forget snack time. But she has ADHD, and she just said if she doesn't do that, she'll just completely forget, and then later in the day she'll be hangry and it'll just throw her off. So she has it in her calendar. So as much as you need to manage yourself and what works for you is fine. But for me, it's just the main events of the day, and then I'll always try to leave at least half an hour between calls in case they overrun a little bit. I don't want to feel like I'm cutting someone off mid-sentence to move to the next meeting and then starting that, having not had a bathroom break. So yeah, I've just learned what works for me. So on the client days, I'll only have, I think, 3 or 4 calls that day. But even though it's me just sat at my desk talking, it's quite energetically draining. So I used to have way more than that. They used to be back to back, but not anymore. And clients get more because of my energy and the fact that I'm showing up and I've had a little moment to myself and I can just really immerse myself in that situation, not mix up with the client who I just had before. And then throughout the day, I'll have maximum 3 to 5 main things that I need to do every single day. So if it's like see my clients, write up the client protocols, get back to client's email and maybe post an Instagram post, like I'm happy with that. Then I have another little list of other tasks and jobs that do need to be done eventually, but they're less of a priority. And then if I have some extra time, I'll start to work through those things. My to-do list isn't this endless, overwhelming list like it used to be. And you might have heard the term eat the frog. And that is you doing the hardest thing first in the day if you can. And that is going to make everything else seem easier. So if you have this big thing that's lurking in the background and it's just on your mind and hanging over your shoulder all day long, try and do that first, and then you'll just feel like everything else is a lot easier. And within my business, I have certain programs that I invest in that help with client management, money management, like I said earlier, and I invest in higher price point programs if they work well, like Kajabi, which hosts my online courses, my website, even my email marketing, and the value that that brings me is about £150 a month. is really worth it. So it's replacing three other individual softwares, and that helps me to have lower stress. And it also has amazing customer service support, which is worth it for me because if I'm trying to spend hours figuring out an email problem that I'm having, that just ruins the rest of my day. So having someone there to help at all times is worth me paying that extra bit of money. Then with boundaries, this has its own category. I only check, this is boundaries with myself and then boundaries with other people. So I only check my emails once or twice a day, and my clients know not to expect an immediate and 24/7 support. Some practitioners offer like constant messages, but that didn't work for me. So it's now email only. I have strong terms and conditions stating that I'll get back to them within maximum 2 working days. If I can get to it quicker, I will. And if it's any longer than that, just they can give me a nudge and I've probably just missed it. But having boundaries in general is a big thing and something that I've really had to work on as a recovering people pleaser. It's ultimately healthy though for both people because they will also learn to have more boundaries in their life, and then there's no resentment held between the two of you. A client yesterday actually told me that she appreciated me having boundaries because her and her partner have paid for some sessions, and I told them at the time, because my prices were changing, that they had to be used within 6 months, and they didn't end up using them in the time. And then they came back around maybe closer to a year later and just asked, which I would do, but they asked could they use the session. I just said, unfortunately not. And I just explained how I only have a set amount of clients that I see in a time period, and that helps me to stay managed. So if I start adding people in who shouldn't have really been in that time period, it's just not good in terms of time management for me. And she just said, like, I really appreciate it. I thought I'd ask. So yeah, she would then feel better maybe in her life to hold more boundaries in her workplace or with her relationships. Even with family members, friends, they've kind of realized that I'm not going to be available constantly just to message throughout the days. And it might take me hours, sometimes days, to respond to a text or a WhatsApp just to protect my energy. And sometimes at the end of a client day, I've already interacted with so many people and given a lot of energy, and I just need to protect that for myself and respond when I'm ready to. And the right friends will understand that for you as well. And then last but not least, something that I do to manage stress and regulate my nervous system is having that balance, but also having fun. Something else I've really had to work on. It can be hard when you enjoy your job and it's your passion. There's a fine line. My boyfriend actually helped me with this because I feel like when I was single, and especially when I had health issues, brain fog, acne, I didn't really want to do anything else. I just wanted to research and help people with their health and be online. And he's good at making us go out and plan little activities and trips. Sometimes I don't feel like it. And then afterwards, I'm so glad that he forced me out the house. I actually started a dance class over the past few months and I've been going to that. I think it's once a month currently, and that's been so fun and just a new little hobby that I've been really enjoying. I've been reading more fiction books as well. I got a Kindle earlier this year, and that's been really helpful at getting me off my phone so that I'm not like doom scrolling all the time. I've been spending more time with my friends and my little niece, Winnie, who is almost 18 months old, can't believe it. And on Thursdays, which is today, so this morning, I help with my mum. She babysits her, and literally in the blink of an eye, half the day has passed, and we've just been playing Teletubbies Tea Party for hours on end. But I love it so much, and it's getting me in the zone of future motherhood, what that's going to entail, and it's been so lovely to have her in our lives. I do think it's important to have hobbies outside of your work, and it can sometimes come down to what you enjoyed doing as a kid. Maybe reflect on that for yourself. For me, it was dancing and performing. I was such a little show off. And I also loved animals, so having my little dog Norman is so comforting, and I think I've become more obsessed with him every day, if that's possible. I just like almost cry every day just looking at him. He's the best. And if you follow me on Instagram at Viva Natural Health, you'll probably see him featured very regularly on there. But I think that is everything. And just as an overview, everything that I do health-wise too. So all of the weekly coffee enemas that I do, the supplements that I take, the organic food that I can get in, that also helps to strengthen my body, strengthen my resilience, support my adrenal glands so that they can handle more stress. There's always going to be things that happen in life and also in business with difficult clients or negative comments on social media. That just comes part and parcel of the job. But if I was to let those things hold me back or I couldn't navigate them well, I wouldn't be able to serve and show up for people the way that I do. So it's all about how you interpret and react to the stress physically and emotionally that makes the biggest difference. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love for you to leave me a rating and review on your podcast app, as this helps to support the show and it allows it to reach more people with this valuable information. Come and say hi over on Instagram. I'm at Viva Natural Health. And if you haven't already, check out my website, vivanaturalhealth.co.uk, for tons more free resources and to discover how I could support you further. I currently offer one-on-one consultation packages if you want my top level support, then more affordable group programs and self-paced online courses. So there really is something for everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here next week for another episode.